and welcome to this week's hashtag Toe-to-Toe. We're on countdown to British Beef, February 3rd, and this week I am lucky enough to be joined by Spencer, Isaac and Lawrence. First of all, I would ask how the guests were, but today I'm going to ask how you are, Spencer, being sat in the middle, a rose between two thorns.
You said exactly, you're saying lucky enough. I said I'm between these two guys. You can feel the animosity, you can feel the energy. I've never seen Isaac Chamberlain so quiet and so reserved, like he's just on it. And Lawrence Okolie's just sitting down like he wants to throw over tables and chairs, but not in here, right? You're not Derek Chisora, it's not for you. So I'm just trying to say, so that's, you know, it's not, I'm on it.
We had loads of tweets coming in when everybody found out that you guys were on the show, so we'll get started. J92 was asked, this is an intriguing fight which I'm very much looking forward to. My question is, how did the bad blood initially start? And is there a possibility we could see a rematch when both fighters are at the peak of their careers? Lawrence, do you want to take this one first?
I think really it starts because they're quite jealous, not just of what's happening with me going to Olympics and the profile I've been getting as a professional, but also because of the person I am, which is a very naturally confident person. So I'll straight away come out and say, I want to be the best in Britain before I've even had my first professional fight. And obviously, they're quite jealous and quite, you know, they don't have that natural confidence, so they take that personally, and, you know, it just makes them jealous, which is why, obviously, when I was fighting in Sheffield, he would do stuff like record my fight on the phone and have them all laughing at it, when instead of, you know, analysing it yourself, you're publicly putting out there that you're laughing at my performance. So, you know, stuff like that, social media, and here we are.
You had a little giggle to yourself there, Isaac, when he said about being jealous of himself.
Nah, because Spencer keeps kicking my leg.
Spencer!
Nah, basically, listen, like, for you to start making little Snapchat rap videos saying you're going to do this to Isaac, and from when you're going to...
I'm gonna give it a go.
Okay.
And from when you're gonna tag me in pictures saying I'm coming for you guys, and I'm one of the only ones to respond to that, then you try and pull it as I'm jealous, but you're the one that called me out, so I really don't really understand that concept. But, you know, he's been talking a lot, but now the fight is here and I'm ready, you know, I'm just ready to do my thing now.
So who originally called who out from the start?
I think, in terms of calling each other out, we don't do that, it's just...
Banter.
He thinks he's better, I think I'm better, but I think in terms of, like, the actual fight that we have here now, I went and said to him, do you want to fight? With the cameras, he said yes. I went and I called the matchmakers, I called Eddie Hearn, I called everyone and said, let's actually make it happen. Remember, bearing in mind, I'm an Olympian, I've got a contract that allows me to continue boxing at the level I've been boxing at now. It's my first, you know, 9 months, first year as a pro. So I could do a bit more learning, but instead I said, let's make the fight happen now, and then back and forth, here we are. So, you know, yeah, I'm ready to take risks.
Lindsay has tweeted in asking, have they ever sparred each other before?
They've sparred a couple of times before.
Yeah, well, that's like, when I was like 18, 17, doesn't really count. We were both amateurs, we were both starting out, so I don't really think of that as
Who got the better in the spar when you sparred? Who do you think got the better in the spar?
You know, sparring.
Yeah, I don't even remember, you know, still.
Yeah.
So it was a respectful spar then?
No, it was just, I don't know, it's one of those ones, because I've sparred so many rounds in my life, I don't really recall it, you know, I don't really recall this one. I think he came to a boxing academy, Bruno boxing academy, we sparred then a couple of times, but yeah, man.
Well, you'd agree with that?
Listen, we're fighting February 3rd, so if we sparred or not, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Thomas Lyons has tweeted in, what is the one strength of your opponent that you'll be looking to nullify on February 3rd? Can the loser rebuild and come back to campaign at this level? Isaac?
You're going to find out on a night still.
I could tell you a bunch of them. Isaac's a very, very clever boxer. He's got very, very good eyes, which is very, very difficult to deal with, because when someone can read someone's pattern, what punches they're throwing, how to respond. So he's very good at, like, for example, slip, counter, and also he's very good at staying in the pocket. So I think, you know, there's been a lot made of, you know, his boxing IQ, but I think it's more to do with how much of a fighter he is. So he's got very good characteristics of a fighter, which is being in there ready to have a tear up. So yeah, that's something I'm looking to partake in and nullify at the same time.
If you had to say something that Lawrence did well, could you name one thing?
He got a good right hand. To be honest, he got a good right hand. Yeah, he knows how to use his range. And we'll talk about this after the fight.
You don't want to give too much away?
Nah.
So I'm not to say this. At this stage now, whatever happens, right? The mere fact that both of you have taken this fight at the relatively early stage of your career, there are no losers. I'm telling you this now, because what boxing needs now is this, that people have this mindset to protect this magical O. Yeah, the magical O doesn't really exist. Go back to the 40s and the 50s where you had great fighters that would fight each other. Eze Charles would end up fighting Charlie Burley. Charlie Burley would fight a man called Homer Williams. There was a round robin. They'd fight each other in the space of 50 days.
Yeah. And I got to commend Lawrence, because without him, none of us would have sold out the O2 on our own. So obviously we've done a tremendous job. So looking forward to February the 3rd. It's going to be amazing.
Who wants it more? Lawrence, who do you think wants it more between the two of you?
In terms of
obviously it's Isaac who wants it more, because he's from Brixton.
In terms of what the fight or what is it? Because I think in terms of like how badly do I want to beat Isaac? I want to beat Isaac the same. I want to beat the last guy that I boxed and the guy before. I think Isaac really wants to beat me, which it could pose some real threats in this fight. The amount that he really wants to do this for not just himself, but for Brixton, for all the people who didn't, you know, get the Olympic push and all that stuff. So he's going to want it for that, but, you know, we'll see.
Who do you think deserves the win more between the two of you, Isaac?
That all depends on the fight. Is how whoever executes their game plan more, whoever wants it the most. Whoever trained the hardest, whoever pushed it in the sparring, whoever pushed it in the runs and all the training and the dieting, and that's whoever wants it more.
Exactly.
Gaz Rich has tweeted in, how does he feel about all the attention and exposure Lawrence and the other Olympians get against the likes of him and Ted Cheeseman, who have just grafted in the background? Isaac, that one's to you.
At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because you're going to get your opportunities like I've gotten this opportunity. So at the end of the day, we just got to wait until the fight. And but listen, I'm just excited about this fight, to be honest. I'm so excited about this fight. And well, this is the opportunity that we have right now. So, like, yeah, you can say a lot of Olympians have become world champions, but we can name a whole bunch of Olympians that haven't been world champions. So, all I can
name you even more people who weren't Olympians who become world champion.
Yeah, very true.
Right.
Very true.
That's easy though, because not many people get to become Olympians, so there's a bigger pool to choose from. But it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, there are, but there's also been Olympians who have been superb and just haven't made that grade. Just haven't made that grade. We thought there's going to be all-time greats, but they haven't made the grade. But I'm saying to somebody like a Ted Cheeseman, and I know Ted and his family, because I've known Ted since he's been a little kid. Ted Cheeseman is an incredible fighter, and he is what you call the blue-collar total British fighter, where he doesn't do anything supremely good. He does everything neat. Right, he tucks up well, he throws very good strong punches. I rate this kid, but him against Carson Jones. Carson Jones is the gatekeeper to a prospect that thinks they're going to go on to anything. So please tune into this. This is going to be an excellent fight. And this is no disrespect to you two. I'm more looking forward to Ted Cheeseman's fight than these two, and that's the truth. Ted Cheeseman's the guy. I love him.
Super Frankie Lampard has tweeted in, who is the best cruiserweight Britain has ever produced? Is it David Haye or Johnny Nelson?
No,
is he around? I don't think Johnny's
right. I'm just going to tell you this now. Johnny Nelson holds the record with his joint hold record with him and Marco Hutt for 14 world title defences. He had one draw within that, right? And also, if you look at somebody like a Johnny Nelson to me would be the greater champion of him and David Haye, for the fact that he overcame adversity. I'm not saying David Haye never come across adversity, but I remember Steve Bunce writing about David Haye in 1997, saying that he's the best prospect that he's ever seen. Nothing was expected of Johnny Nelson. So when I see somebody who comes across, who beats adversity brushes themselves up, was losing fights continuously, and never stopped believing in themselves and carried on going. And he, to me, that's why I bow in humble reverence to somebody like a Johnny Nelson over a David Haye, because it takes character. And what I have realized is this, that once come out in conversation, expectation comes out in behavior. Johnny Nelson is grafted. He's a role model to me. Look what Johnny Nelson's doing at Sky right now. It's superb. So to me, Johnny Nelson is, and also, he's Britain's second longest reigning world champion. So he, to me, is the greater of the two fighters.
Lawrence, do you agree with Spencer?
I think that we have to wait for David Haye to retire before I can answer that.
He's never going to box at cruiserweight again.
Still, you know.
But he's never going to box at cruiserweight again. I think, you do realise that, right?
Probably, yeah, most likely. But I think same with like Evander Holyfield. Even though he went up and down, I still class him as one of the best cruiserweights and heavyweights. But yeah.
Isaac, what do you think?
I think Spencer Ferry is right with what what he said about Johnny Nelson. You know, to come over adversity and do what he done in his career, I think that's spectacular.
Dan Frost has tweeted in, who do you both feel will make the Cruiserweight World Boxing Super Series final, and who of the two finalists do you feel will win and why? Spencer, you can start us off on this one.
Oh, I'm telling you, the person who's going to win. The person who's going to win is going to be Usyk, and that's that. The guy's incredible. If you see on the things that Usyk does, Usyk can most probably move up to heavyweight and win a world crown at heavyweight. To me, and Isaac knows, right? To me, Usyk is the cruiserweight version of a Lomachenko. He's superb. He's got brilliant balance. His punch dexterity is on another level. And not only that, but how he's timing. He's very good at gauging. You sparred with the guy, yeah. So you know he gauges the round. The guy he gauges distance very well. He's a superb fighter.
How has he been looking in training, Isaac?
He's been looking sensational. You know, he's been looking sensational. He's been sparring top quality fighters. All the sparring partners that was there were all champions of some sort. So he's been looking great, and it's been a pleasure to watch him, especially when he's hitting the bag or shadow boxing and being taught the certain things that he was doing and why he does it. So it was very refreshing to my mind as well, because I came there with a blank canvas to learn and pick up all the tricks that these champions were doing. So it was great.
Lawrence, who do you think's going to win?
Probably Usyk, but I still think that the winner of Gazev and Dorticus has a chance, obviously, because both of them are good power punchers, so you never know.
Norman Barton has tweeted in, question for you all, can't recall a similarly anticipated fight in recent times for two British boxers, both unbeaten, both under 10 fights. Can you? Could it be a Kayla Christie-style war?
Well, now you're really talking something, and we're going back into the analogues of history. Mark Kayla versus Errol Christie was a fabulous fight. These two, actually, and you talk about British beef, that should have been the real British beef, because these guys kicked off on the street. You know what I mean? We had a press conference, they kicked off and had some big fight. Well, I think, what year was that fight? Was that 87? Right, they kicked off on the street and was fighting each other, and they both got fined hefty from the British Border Control. We turn the page now, you know what I mean, some 30 years down the line, and now we've got these two combatants who are going at each other. It is a greatly anticipated fight. This fight here, like I said, both guys should be commended. The closest thing that I could see to this would be James DeGale versus George Groves, when they both fought early, and even though they haven't still met each other, but both still went on to become world champions. So, no matter, like I said, the mere fact that you guys are both stepping forward, so you're not going to be in the same place, there is no winner, no loser in this fight. Do you know what I mean? I just want it to be a great fight, and I know it is going to be a great fight.
Right, well, we've come to the end of today's show, but before you both leave, Spencer, got to ask you, who do you think is going to win this fight?
I'm going to tell you who's going to win the fight,
Careful,
right?
you sat in between.
No, don't worry about it. I'm just going to be real. I have to be honest, and I'm going to be real. The person who's going to win the fight is the black guy who comes from London, who eats the best sauce on their meat. Now, him being from Congolese descent, they have pili pili sauce, and you being from Nigerian descent, have Ogusi sauce. So it's who has the best sauce on their food, that's the one who's going to win.
A name would have just been good.
Yeah, well, you know it goes.
You are nuts, guys.
And what kind of fight can the viewers at home expect on February 3rd, Lawrence?
It depends. Obviously, this is scheduled for 10 or 12 rounds, so I think nothing's going to be able to stop it from turning into a brawl, because that's
10 rounds.
It's 10, yeah. That's the bottom line, and I think it's very hard to keep, you know, boxing, blah blah blah, for that many rounds. I think it's at some point, you know what I mean, we're going to engage constantly, and you know, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to be part of, and also going to be fun to watch, I think.
Giving you the last word today, Isaac, what kind of fight can viewers at home expect?
A very entertaining one. It's going to be a great fight for the British public. It's going to be, it's going to be sensational, definitely.
Okay, well, that's it for this week. My thanks to Spencer, Lawrence and Isaac. Tune in next week for more #toe-to-toe or check out iTunes for the podcast.
You've never seen this.
Talk too much, man. Don't come close to me like this, big man. Don't come close to me like this, big man. What?
You're getting way too big for your boots. You're never too big for the boot. I got the big size toes on my feet. Your face ain't big for my boots. Kick up the U.
These are the type of risks you have to take to be a champion. This is my life, man.
I'm gonna train so hard, I'm gonna knock him out cold.
Who? You know what Isaac? I don't know what Isaac.
Wanna come round there like a bad boy, do it.
You're gonna feel shot 1, shot 2. Oh my God, this actually hurts.
In one interview, he was like, "Who's Isaac?" Now you know.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.